Continuing on with Bees, we have Beat the Vandal Buster. The series ran for 12 volumes, then it stopped. Came back in 2016, released one more volume, stopped. And then it is now presently back since 2018 and is releasing chapters monthly, I believe. It hasn't came back to America yet, so 12 is all we have for now. But it's set in the Dark Ages, and refers to these monsters as vandals, which have appeared and started attacking humans. Beat is a boy who dreams of joining this team called the Xenon Warriors, where they are considered to be the strongest people on the continent. And then they hunt the monsters, and eventually they come across the Demon King Beltorze, and the Xenon Warriors have the upper hand until Beat, as like a small kid, shows up and he starts cheering them on. So the Demon King attacks Beat because he's an idiot for being there. And the Xenon Warriors are forced to kind of lose the upper hand to go protect Beat. When this happens, they become mortally wounded and actually end up giving Beat seemingly their powers by putting their life force into their quote-unquote Saiga, which is like a weapon from their soul, to Beat. Beat complains that he's not worth it and it's like a waste of their time, they shouldn't do that. Beat's just a dumb kid. And also one of the brothers ended up being or one of the warriors ended up being Beat's brother, which is pretty cool. So now Beat the Vandal Buster does a little time skip to when he's a little bit older and has a 3-year training expedition, is now trying to defeat the Demon King and get revenge for the warriors in the past. It's a very cool kind of a series where this is the first time where there was a leveling system inside of a manga, at least that I've ever read. 2002, that was pretty revolutionary without it being an isekai. So I really like that. I really like the weapon from the soul too. I thought that was awesome. And Beat being the only one who has multiple weapons because he's got the souls of the Xenon Warriors in him. So I feel like this was a cool concept. I really hope it comes back to America. Fingers crossed anyways. There's a total of 15 volumes now, so there's only 3 more that America doesn't have. So hopefully it ends up coming this way. This next one needs no introduction. The Granddaddy of Dark Fantasy, Berserk. This series faces many just random pauses throughout the publication of it. I have the remaining volumes in my TBR pile because there's no rush to read Berserk since it comes out so slow anyways. It follows the main character Guts, who is a baby found beneath his dead hanging mother and is adopted by this mercenary Gambino. As raised as a mercenary, Guts eventually kills Gambino as Gambino's he ends up raping him and really just taking advantage of him from multiple ways. It's kind of messed up. He eventually joins this place called the Band of Hawk, where he meets a lot of his friends, and he ends up becoming best friends with their leader, Griffith. As time goes on, though, it's made clear that this friendship isn't made to last. I don't want to spoil too much of what happens, but I'm sure everybody already knows that Griffith ends up being one of the main antagonists of the series. At least supposedly, he's definitely the main source of Guts' anger. So Guts goes across the country chasing after Griffith, slaying demons in his wake, and he's branded, so demons are actually drawn to him. When he's near a demon, the brand actually will ache and cause him severe pain. He eventually meets a few more allies along the way to help him kind of save people, though that's not really his goal. He saves people just when it's, he's in the area. He doesn't go out of his way to save people most of the time. But if it will benefit him in finding Griffith, then it's something he's all for. He's pretty much got a one-track mind. So definitely worth reading if you guys haven't read this. The art is amazing. The covers are okay, but the art is where it's really at, and the story is just so intense. You have to read it. Once you get to the Band of the Hawk arc, the Golden Dawn arc, I mean, you're pretty much hooked in for the whole ride. So this next series is one that I never really got into. It's called Black Butler. We used to get this for when I was younger. My brother would request this one, so we always had $100-ish limit. So if we got like 10 manga volumes and it was like 120, it'd be cool. If it was 80, it'd be cool, because back then, Shonen Jump titles were like $7, so yen prices were like 10 or 11, something like that. So there was like a little bit of leeway with it depending on the visit. Anyways, this one follows a young kid who ends up becoming head of this like rich and noble family, the Fanohai family, after being the last one alive. It's set in like Victorian era London, which is honestly not really my favorite kind of a setting for anything. Don't ask me why, but unless it's a super dark fantasy, I really don't care for Victorian London. I like, the Bloodborne setting, which is Victoria era London, but it's like post-apocalyptic, London in the Victorian era. So that's why I kind of differentiate the two. Anyways, he has a butler who is a demon named Sebastian, and it's kind of they're trying to uncover this like ring of slavery and try to make the world in a more positive light is kind of how I interpreted it. I can't really exactly remember the whole thing, but I read up to volume 7, it looks like. But I used to always see this at Barnes & Noble, and I never really understood the hype behind it. I might reread it and see if I end up finding a new valued appreciation for it. But maybe after I have my TBR a little smaller. But yeah, Black Butler's never really been my thing, but we'll see. Maybe I'll give it another shot. Black Cat is a series by Kentaro Yabuki, known for drawing the To Love Ru series, and has currently been writing Ayakashi Triangle, which I think actually recently got canceled, which is too bad. This follows a character named Train Hartnett, who was once an assassin for Kronos, an organization that was bent on world peace that rules 1/3 of the world's economy, and is now a sweeper or bounty hunter with his friend Sven Follefeld. They meet and team up with professional thief Renslet Walker in order to break into the arms dealer at home and obtain some data, but encounter a bioweapon named Eve, which was created using nanotechnology. Sven and Train ultimately decide to free Eve from her owner and train her to be a sweeper along with them. Renslet is kidnapped by Krieg Diskin, a former Cronus assassin that killed Train's friend Sayo, for changing Train's outlook on life and contributed to him leaving Kronos. He ends up persuading Train to join his group, which he calls the Apostle of the Stars, in order to overthrow Kronos and start a world revolution. This guy, Creed, is like a total psychopath. He's also awesome, not because he's a psychopath, but because he's like one of those guys that you like can't help but love to hate. So like you see him on the screen and you're like, oh shit, things are gonna go down, Train's gonna go freak out shit, because normally Train is like happy-go-lucky, like total like idiot kind of a trope character, but when Creed's on the screen, he's like balls to the wall, like this is real, So I really did like this manga. It's over now. It has a total of 20 volumes. It was a super good read, so it's kind of too bad to see that his work, Ayakashi Triangle, kind of ended up getting canceled. I heard it actually got really good towards the end, but, isn't that how it always goes? Anyways, better luck to him in the future. Hopefully I can get more of his works in physical format. A lot of the times it doesn't actually even get sent here. I don't really like to read fan service stuff, which seems to be his go-to thing these days, which is too bad. I don't have any interest in To Love Ru. I also don't know anything about it, other than I think it's a harem manga, so I probably wouldn't read that. I don't really like harem manga that much. But yeah, definitely, if you've never heard of this, check it out. It's very good. So believe it or not, back in the days of when I was a little boy, the manga section actually used to be very small, like half a bookshelf small. And so I picked up this one called Blade of Heaven just because it was there. And, I didn't have much other choice. Blade of Heaven begins with a young boy by the name of Soma, who has been accused by the King of Heaven for supposedly stealing a sword. Heavenly beings, along with demons, have been fighting for many generations for the ultimate supremacy. Before all of this began, however, there was a certain period commonly referred to as the Great Battle of Heaven, before humans beings supposedly had existed. This was a battle between the demon realm and the heavenly warriors to see who would be fighting to rule the land. With this ancient battle, there were 3 legendary swords that anyone would have sacrificed their own life to attain. One of which is the sword of Kawagama, or Quagma. This vicious sword has been known to have left many levels of blood in his ruthless wake, and particularly chooses those of high statuses to be mastered. The second, the sword of the guardian spirits, can attain the 4 elements of the world within itself. They can be used in a moment of need. The last of 3 swords, known as the Blade of Heaven, was clearly the greatest of the 3, which, when at the time the demons had the upper hand, the wielder suddenly appeared and destroyed them without getting hurt. And so it follows Soma, who reveals that he did steal the sword, I guess? I don't know. Anyways, that was the Wikipedia summary. I don't remember much about this manga, and you can tell I had it when I was really, really young because it's not really super good taken care of. There's only 10 volumes. It supposedly is still ongoing. I think this is actually more of a manhwa, but I'm not exactly certain. Yeah, it says manhwa on Wikipedia. Anyways, this is like one that I don't really have any interest in continuing. When I got it, I thought it was kind of schlocky and cheesy, and so I thought that there was, I started to get other stuff like Dragon Ball started to come out, Prince of Tennis started to populate the shelves, things like that. Slowly and slowly, the manga scene started to actually get going again. So I never really continued to read it, and it doesn't look like they continued to write it. So that's interesting. I don't know if this is like a rare series at all, but I'll probably never collect it any further than this, and I'll probably never sell it because it's in such bad shape. This next manga doesn't really need me to say anything about it. This is Bleach. It follows the main character, who's a human, who one day is just like talking to ghosts, because that's his thing. He can talk to ghosts. And then this monster attacks his house. It's called a hollow. And a god of death comes and ends up trying to defeat it. But Ichigo ends up being damaged, and the only way to heal him is to stab him. Or rather, hold on, I'm messing up the story. The death god ends up getting super damaged, and the only one to save them is Ichigo. So she bestows upon him her Shinigami powers, which is a grave crime. It follows Ichigo and his friends as they go throughout defeating hollows. They go to this place called Soul Society. They go to this place called Arachnar, which is like the home of the hollows. And then it goes into this nonsense invasion war arc, which I highly recommend not ever reading. It took me a really long time to decide to buy that 3rd arc. I read the scans for Bleach. I bought all the volumes of Bleach, and I genuinely believed like this story was going downhill once we got to the Arrancar arc. And the reason was because it started to retread kind of the similar beginnings of the Soul Society arc and really mirror it, which was probably the intention. However, it then got kind of drastically different as the Arachnar arc kept going on. It actually got more and more interesting. They were hinting at cooler things, but when the cooler things came to come, they came and went. Like, there's a lot of rumors of Ichigo becoming a Vastalorde, and then, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but when he turned into this cool demon thing, one time, he never goes back to it, and he gets a different power-up later on anyways. And I'm like, that was awesome. What happened to that power-up? What the heck? And he also ends up doing, like... Ichigo gets stronger because of the sake of the plot. It's pretty much a tired story. Ichigo will like randomly undergo like a time skip training, like he's in. And I hated this place, the hyperbolic time chamber. I liked like that in Dragon Ball Z when they had the cap on it, but now everybody just abuses it, and so everybody goes in the hyperbolic time chamber. So I hate that kind of a method of training because they always put a number on it, but it never sticks. Anyways, the last arc ended up not being so great because it does another something like that where he ends up training and leveling up in a place that's going at a much slower pace, and then he comes back and he's able to destroy the evil or the invading force. I would like Bleach more if it was more story driven, but it's very much battle driven. If all you care about is fighting, this is the manga for you. This manga has some sick fights, some awesome character designs, and some really cool power-ups. It's just the story is like kind of lacking, you know. So this was once one of the great three, the big three of Shonen Jump. But after the Soul Society arc, it slowly started to drift away in the popularity polls, and by the time it hit the last arc, it was pretty much just barely in the top 10. Do I recommend reading this and checking it out? Yeah, absolutely. Do I recommend finishing this? No way. The only reason I finished this is because the box set was on sale, box set 3, on Amazon for, I think it was like 80 or 70 bucks, and I was like, man, they are giving this stuff away. So I was able to get the full 74 just for that reason. I swore to myself, you know, when I was younger, I was like, I'm never going to buy the rest of this like series. I'm not going to support the author for this. I couldn't even keep reading the scanlations, the fan scans, because I was just like, so I can't believe this story has gone to absolute crap and back. Like, it used to be very interesting. So I was really upset with that. Apparently he rushed the ending, but I mean, I doubt it, because the guy was hyping up the ending like for years. I remember this like when I was younger. Like, this wasn't like Shonen Jump decided to just cut it. It's like, no, if this guy wanted to keep going, it probably would have been worse. So I'm glad to see it end. I'm kind of like hesitant about its kind of return. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Burn the Witch is like a direct continuation of Bleach. So if you're interested in Burn the Witch, you probably don't need to read Bleach, but you'll probably get more out of it. So yeah, it's tough to say. But anyways, Tite Kubo is just one of those authors where, and he's gone on record saying this, he really likes to draw cool fights, he really likes to draw cool characters, and, you know, that's pretty much it. The guy was known, especially in the 2000s, as a huge troll. And there used to be a meme with him where he crosses his hands and wears his sunglasses, and it's like, upset about the story? Too bad. Here's a cool fight, though. Background's too interesting for you? Here you go, white screen. So, like, there's a huge joke about how he just, like, takes all these shortcuts just to draw, like, cool fan battles. So, I don't know. To each their own with this kind of a series, but for me personally, I found it kind of lacking. Blood Blockade Battlefront, also known as B3, is by the author of Trigun as well as Gungrave. Two awesome series if you guys have never heard of these. So definitely check those two out. This manga, though, centers around the crime-fighting organization Libra and their battles in Hell's Salem Lot, formerly known as New York City. Hell's Salem Lot was created when a portal to the beyond opened up, becoming a paranormal melting pot of monsters, magic, and the everyday mundane life. And it's up to Libra to clear the streets of trouble and prevent the horrors of the city from spreading to the outside world. It honestly kind of feels like Cowboy Bebop sometimes, which is great. But, you know, apparently it never really took off. There's only 10 volumes out, and then there's a sequel series called Blood Blockade Battlefront and Beyond. I think it's it's Blood Blockade Battlefront back to back. That's 8 volumes long. And so I want to read it. I want to get more of this. This series is kind of hard to come across. I have half of it. I probably could finish the series off, but then I'm kind of like, well, do I want to even do that? Because it's not actually put into America. You know, the physical release is stopped. So the sequel series never came here. So, you know, I'm kind of annoyed by that. This is a Dark Horse series, so I guess I shouldn't be really that surprised by it. But this series is incredibly out of print and very difficult to get. It's too bad because I love everything Naito. So I would really like to continue reading this series. I might try to buy some more of it as I get kind of more caught up in other more desirable manga that I can look forward to getting to the end of. But this one is kind of a pain in the butt, and like a sad story to hear that it just never took off in, you know, English, that, you know, it's hard to collect now because of it. Blue Exorcist revolves around main character Ran Okumura, who along with his younger twin brother Yukio Okamura are raised by father Shiro Fujimoto, who's an exorcist. One day, Rin learns that his dad, and that he and his brother are the twins of Satan, the sons of Satan. As he witnesses Shiro, the dad, trying to protect him, Rin draws the demon-slaying sword, Kurikara, which restrains his demonic powers. From that moment, Rin not only gains the demonic features like fangs in its tail, but also the power to ignite the blue flames to destroy anything he touches. He eventually learns how to kind of control this and becomes an exorcist. His brother Rin is a kind of higher position exorcist. Sorry, his brother Rin. His brother Yukio is a higher position exorcist. This story takes a lot of twists and turns. It does take a little bit of time to get into it, but it's one that I find very rewarding once you get up past, I think it was around volume 7 or something like that. I did a whole kind of review thing and plot summary of this series. I won't link it though because it was totally very unpopular, but I definitely recommend that you guys check out this series if you have any interest in cool demon manga. If you like D. Gray Man, this is definitely up there. It has a lot of conspiracy theory. It has a lot of plots, twists, and turns. It's pretty dark too. I really like this series a lot. I actually thought initially it was very mid, but it has since blown up. You get to the most recent arc where we start talking about the past and lightning comes into the fold, things like that, and it really is cool. Very cool, and it gets quite a bit darker. So definitely, if you had any interest in this series and you were thinking about starting it, or you started it and you dropped it, I would recommend picking it back up. Unless you dropped it towards the later half, then, well, sorry. I think that's going to do it for this part. Thanks for watching, everybody, and if you have any suggestions, please let me know, and always please comment, subscribe, like the video, share it around. It really helps the channel out a lot. Bye.